Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Om Gaur Hari Bol. Yamish Patram Spurtkatra Stotra Sadasma Sisjan Vesapachan Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. ISKCON Samsab ka Charshad Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnu Pada Param Spurtkatra Stotra Sadasma Sisjan Vesapachan Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि और भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय मायापुर नवदीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की जय गंगा में यमुना की जय तुलसी देव भक्ति देव की जय समवेत गौर भक्तवृंद की जय भागवतम की जय संकीर्तन श्रील प्रभुपाद all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble, all glories to all glories. Shri Guru Shri Gauranga, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. So, welcome to all devotees for today's Bhagavata Sevya, Bhagavatam session. So, we'll start with the prayer. Om Agnana Timrandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यम ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वंदे हम श्री गुरुं श्रीयुता पदकमलं श्री गुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगण रघुनाथान्वितं तां सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादां सगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये वाञ्छा कल्पतरुश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवयां भगवते उत्तम श्लोके Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from fourth canto, fourth chapter. Today's verse will be from 18 to 21. Yeah. So I'll read the verse and the translation. Later on, you can read the purport. Atastavoutpannam idam kalevaram na dharayishe shiti khantagarhinaha jagadasya mohad dhi vishuddhim andaso jugu asitasyo dharanam prachakshate atastavoutpannam idam kalevaram na dharayishe shiti khantagarhinaha jagadasya mohad dhi vishuddhim andaso जुगुप्सितस्यो धरणं प्रचक्षते अतस्तवोत्पन्नम् इदं कलेवरं न धारयिष्ये शिठीकण्ठगर्हिणः जगदस्य मोहाद्धि विशुद्धम् अंधसो जुगुप्सितस्योद्धारणं प्रचक्षते. Word meaning ata, therefore tava, from you, utpannam, received, idam, this, kalevaram, body, na dhara ishye, I shall not bear, shiti khanta garhinaha, who have blasphemed Lord Shiva, jagadasya, which has been eaten, mohat, by mistake, he, because, vishuddhim, purification, andasaha, of food, jugupsitasya, poisonous, uddharanam, vomiting, prachakshate, declare. Translation: therefore I shall no longer bear this unworthy body which has been received from you, who have blasphemed Lord Shiva. If someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. So there's a small purport. I'll just read the purport. So, since Sati was the representation of the external potency of the Lord, it was in her power to vanquish many universes, including many dakshas. But in order to save her husband from the charge that he employed his wife Sati to kill Daksha because he could not do so due to his inferior position, she decided to give up her body. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः. Yeah, Krishna. So we are now in this chapter where Sati quits her body. That is the situation we are in. Actually, after seeing that she did not get the invitation to attend the great sacrifice, the yajna, while all the other demigods, all other munis and rishis, everybody were invited except Sati or Shiva, Sati's husband Shiva, because Daksha had that very unfavorable relationship with him, and he was actually not really liking Shiva to that extent. And because of that animosity, the hatredness, so it just continued like that. And the problem with Daksha was that because he was too much of a materialistic person, because of course he's a Prajapati, all they live by passion. They're mostly their nature is that they have to be in the passion and in the rajas mode, and only then they can create the progenies, and they can populate the world. I mean, that was their prime responsibility. So he's typically of that materialistic nature, and then and because of that over pride, and that whatever he had achieved, that position, the fame, and everything was there. So he had completely ignored Shiva's, or he had not understood Shiva's position, the transcendental position of Shiva. So this way, he continued to make errors, continued to make offenses. And now, in this case, also, when the Vajpayee Yajna was being performed, he did not invite Shiva or Parvati. I mean, although Sati was Shiva, Daksha Maharaj's daughter, he did not invite her. So that was just because of the reason that her husband Shiva was, I mean, according to him, he was not of a very good character. He was not actually, he considered Shiva was not the right bridegroom. But unfortunately, Sati, or fortunately, Sati had decided that she will marry only Shiva, because she was, according to her, and because she was also such a great elevated soul, and she was such a great devotee, that she knew what was her intention. She was very clear, and she wanted a devotee husband. And she knew that Lord Shiva is always meditating on Krishna. He is also a very eternal servitor of Krishna. So like this, she knew internally that this was the position, and she always wanted Shiva. In fact, she did not look at the external conditions of Shiva. She looked at the internal heart, the internal feelings, internal character of Shiva, and she wanted to marry. Whereas Daksha Maharaj, Daksha Prajapati, looked at the externals. And this is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee, or a common man. A common man looks at the external features and then decides whom he should follow. We see most of the common people, they look at some cricketer, they look at some film actor, actress, like this, because they want to see the external beauty, they want to see external money, external fame, external, but they are not actually not looking at what is that they are doing with that money, what is that they are doing with that fame, what is that, how they are spending the fame, how they are spending the money, and in which cause, good cause, whether are they going to solve the four problems in our material life? Janma Murtyu Jara Vyadhi. This is the Prabhupada always used to tell that this is the real the question, or this is a real test in for a human life. If you have to consider a human life an intelligent or a cultured man or a gentleman, you have to see whether he is really solving the problems of this four problems, the four pillars of and also of the 4 pillars which is governing in Kali Yuga. So if you're not doing that, then Shrama Evahi Kevalam. It is just useless. They are again going to be taking another body, another material life, another, very, very difficult, or who knows, they might even take a lower species birth. So this way, they are going to struggle, and suffer a lot. Whereas an intelligent person would always want to take the next body, which is something which is better, and which is going to elevate him, and which is going to spiritually assist him, because he's going to solve the problems of this human life, or this material life. So that is the intelligence required. So like this is the comparison, this is the way it is understood. And Sati was of that highest standard. She did not want external opulence. She wanted something internal, and that way she glorified. She glorified, and then she was very attracted to Shiva. So in our Purandarasa Kirtana, Purandarasa has created composed one song. So in that, in a very humorous way, this is called a ninda. It's called not a ninda stuti, not a ninda. Ninda means little chastising, but this is a humorous one. This is a funny song. In that he says, "Yantha cheluvege magalanu kotteni ಗಿರಿರಾಜ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಎಂಥ ಚೆಲುವೆಗೆ ಮಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟೆನಿ ಗಿರಿರಾಜನು ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಕಂತುಹಾರ ಶಿವ ಚಲುವನೆನ್ನುತ್ತ ಮೆಚ್ಚಿದನೆ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ." Then it goes, ಮನೆಯೆಂಬುದು ಸ್ಮಶಾನವು ನೋಡೆ ಗಜ ಚರ್ಮಾಂಬರವಮ್ಮ ಹಣವೊಂದೆಂಬುದು ಕೈಯೊಳಗಿಲ್ಲವು ಕಪ್ಪರವಿದೆ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಭೂತ ಪ್ರೇತ ಪಿಶಾಚಿಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ಪರಿವಾರವು ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಈತನ ನಾಮವು ಒಂದೇ ಮಂಗಳಕರ ಕುಹರನ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ. So like this, ಮೋರೆಗಳೆಗಳೆದು 3 ಕಣ್ಣುಗಳು ವಿಪರೀತವ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಘೋರವಾದ ರುಂಡಮಾಲೆ ಉರಗಭೂಷಣ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ನಂದಿವಾಹನ ನೀಲಕಂಠನ ನಿರ್ಗುಣನ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಇಂದಿರೇ ರಮಣ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲನ ಹೊಂದಿದವನ ನೋಡಮ್ಮ ಎಂಥ ಚೆಲುವೆಗೆ ಮಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟೆನಿ ಗಿರಿರಾಜನು ನೋಡಮ್ಮ. So like this, he is telling in a very funny way that what a beauty. Sati was such a beauty, beautiful girl and bride. And then that beautiful daughter you have given to such a person. He's telling about Giriraja, that is Sati's father. Giriraja has given his daughter to such a person. And what is he? He is thinking that this Kantu Hara Shiva Chaluvana Mechidane Nodamma, whether he has liked her by heart. And then what he is having, his house is the Smashana, and the dress he is wearing is actually the Gaja Charma, the elephant's skin. And Hanavandembudu Kayolagilla, the money what is required to lead a family life, he doesn't have. No opulence, no money, nothing. And then he is only having some small hut, or just a small shade, and living in the Himalayas. And then he is always associated with the Bhuta, Preta, Pishachi, all these goblins, ghosts, and that is his family. And then even his and then what else? Nandivahana Nilakantana Nirgunanu. And one more sentence is here. Itana Namavu Vande Mangalakara Uharana Nodama. Somehow I'm not able to explain this. Itana Namavu. Nama is actually his name. Actually, it's a Shiva. Shiva means auspiciousness. Vande Mangalakaravu. It's very, very auspicious. But this is something which is highlighting. So he says, I just need to clarify what exactly, where he is giving that analogy. And then Nandivahana Nilakantana Nirgunana Nodamma. So Nandivahana, Nilakanta, Nilguna, all these are Shiva's glorification. Indira Ramana Purandara Vitalana Hondiruvanu Nodamma. So Indira Ramana, that is Rama's or Lakshmi's husband, Purandara Vittala's, he's actually attracted Purandara Vittala, or he's in the heart of Purandara Vittala. He's a devotee of Purandara Vittala. So such a person you have given. So like that, he's made a song. So with this, we can understand how Sati was looked at the internal characters, and then she married. But unfortunately, she was so much upset by her father's behavior. And first of all, he didn't invite, and then he didn't give oblations. He didn't give space for oblations to Shiva, whatever offerings are there that he is not able to receive. So like this, the lot of insults or offenses she had to bear, and that is the reason why she got very upset. But despite the both of them had an argument, that is Shiva and Sati had an argument whether to visit or not, because she was not invited. But despite Shiva stopping, she came here to the sacrifice, and she was not given any welcome reception, nothing. He had completely ignored Daksha. So finally, now she understood that she has come to a wrong place, and she has made a wrong decision, and she could not face that insult, because this insult which is on the mental platform, it's very, very difficult. Something were to affect our bodily, people may withstand that, but something which affects the mental platform, somebody like an insult, and somebody makes your position lower, this person cannot take it. So now she finally decided that she has to give up her body. And even for that also, she tells her father, and she's actually giving the highest knowledge in these the previous classes you would have seen, that she's telling how the knowledge, one is that when it comes to this shloka, yeah, the
Is it 15, Prabhuji? Text 15.
I was actually had want to mention about this. 1 second. Section number 12. Twice born Daksha, a man like you can simply find fault in the qualities of others. Lord Shiva, however, not only finds no faults with others' qualities, but if someone has a little good quality, he magnifies it greatly. Unfortunately, you have found fault with such a great soul. So this statement of her is something very, very applicable for us devotees in our life, because generally we always try to find a fault in others. And I mean, that is out of weakness, or out of sometimes due to some little jealousy or something, or we want to take the all the fame, especially that if somebody else is getting appreciated, it is difficult for us to digest it. So like this, I mean, this fault within ourselves, weaknesses. So here Daksha was the one who actually did all that insult, and then he criticized, he made comment, and then he completely ignored Shiva. So here she's telling that that your mentality has been the fault finding. And then whereas Shiva was the other person, a great personality, who even if somebody had little good quality, he was magnifying it. So that is looking at everything very positively. So that's why, as DB devotees also, we should always look at positivity and always try to cooperate. We can always give some suggestions, and we can always give some scope for rectification if it is there, but of course to the top authorities, so that instead of directly interacting with the other devotee, blaming them or criticizing them, it's always we should, even the fault is there, we should treat the fault in such a way that the other person receives it in a very positive way, and then it will improve their sadhana or improve their practice. I mean, because if somebody is making a mistake, there is always a chance to correct. So that correction has to happen in a very, very right mode. That's why in Krishna also in he wanted to test the character of Duryodhana and Arjuna, Yudhishthir. So what he said was, "You please go out, after the war was over." He wanted to test, and then he said that you please go out in the town, and then find out if you have some good people there, or if you have bad people there. Just let me know. Just let me know what is your view, like that. So when Duryodhana went, he found all, most of the people either, having some fault, or, having some, doing some blunders or doing some mistakes. And he was focused on the faults. He was always, and then he made a big report of all those, who are living in that Hastinapur. Whereas when Arjuna went, it actually, it was totally opposite. He looked at, although somebody was having a fault, he all found that, somebody was helping other, somebody was doing some seva, somebody might have been ugly, but he have been, devoted to the God. He was chanting, or he was praising. So like this, he took all the, good points, and then he brought and gave the report. So then this was just a test by Krishna, just to see what is their character. And then ultimately, Duryodhana, because his nature was that, he was hell bent on find faulting and wickedness. So he came up with that, his report. Whereas Arjuna, being a devotee and a good cultured man, came with a very nice report. Like this, I don't know, either Yudhishthir or Arjuna. The question I think I have heard, it is Yudhishthir, not Arjuna. So Yudhishthir and Duryodhana. So that is the quality of Pandavas. That is not Pandava and Kaurava. So like this, and the next another one more information she is giving here is also very, very high standard for especially for devotee, for our practice. That the previous shloka, I think you would have read it, 19th shloka. Sorry. 17th shloka, yesterday's one. Sati continued. If one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and control of religion, one should block his ears and go away, if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender. And after that, one should give his own life. So this is the height of devotion that you should have to your and to your supreme Lord. That means you should, that as a devotee, you cannot hear anything blaspheming about that, because that shows how much you're committed to your guru, or to that shows what is the faith that you have. If somebody is blaspheming, that means it might be out of their ignorance, it may be out of their hatred, jealousy, whatever it is. But if suppose we hear it and then we don't take any action, that means you're not affected by it. The moment if somebody is blaspheming, means criticizing, means immediately you should feel that by the heart, you should feel that, oh, this man is doing like this, he's committing a blunder. And if you're not feeling that, that means you probably, there is some missing link between your faith and your understanding with the Lord. So that is what is being highlighted here, because otherwise, because by if some irresponsible fellow makes some statement and comments, and then he criticizes, probably he's also adding to his part of the his papa, or the sinful reactions. So one way is that we also have to correct him. At the same time, we should not listen to it, and then we should immediately make him shut his mouth. Or so that's why he's telling that these are the three principles. What is the principle? If somebody is blaspheming, if you hear that, immediately you should close your eyes, you should not listen to that, and then go away. If suppose you are not able to punish, ideally you should be able to kill, you should be able to kill, or kill that person who is blaspheming. If you can't do, if you are not of a kshatriya quality, or if you are not, don't want to take that risk, you immediately have to go away from that place. You cannot stay in that place, because if you are hearing that, that means you are also becoming part of that sin. You're a part of associating with the sin. Otherwise, and then you should cut his tongue, the second thing, and kill the offender. If you're not able to do that, you should actually give up your own life. My God, this is something very, very high standard of bhakti that is being mentioned here. That you should take your own life, you should commit suicide, because probably you are one of the reason for that man to have uttered and then disrespected the guru or the Lord. So because you are the cause of the reason, so you have to take up this kind of a position. So now here, Sati is actually taking in this one, we can understand that she's taking the third option. Because that is something, he has given birth to her. How can she kill him? How can she? No, she's not able to control him, not able to do anything to curb him. So what she's taking is, she's taking the third alternative, which is that, let me give up my life. I don't want to stay because I can't tolerate this insult. So like this, she is showing her highest character of the respect to her husband. That is showing her pativrata. That pativrata, what is the respect that one should give to her husband, she is demonstrating here, and she's having the highest regard for Shiva is being demonstrated here. So that's why in this sloka, in the 18th sloka, I'm no longer able to bear this unearthed body, although received from you, because I cannot stand this infamy, the criticism, this insult, and who have blasphemed Shiva. So Lord Shiva, if someone has taken food which is poisonous, the best treatment is to vomit. So now she's come to that conclusion that she wants to take away her life, and that is how later on we come to know that she enters the fire sacrifice and then commits the sati. That is how the word sati came into existence, that she could not bear that insult and trouble. So this way she is demonstrating right here. That's what we can understand from this. Now we'll go to the shloka number 19.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you want
So
us to read? Devotees can
you
read
can
the
read,
shloka.
yes.
Hare Bol.
19 shloka, and then the translation
And
purport.
purport is long, Prabhu. You want us to do the purport?
Yeah, of course.
Hari Bol. Shobha Mataji, you read the shloka. Kripa Mai Sita Devi Dasi Mataji, you do the translation, and Vasudha Mataji the purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Prabhuji and Mataji, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, text 19. Naveda Vedhan Anuvartate Matihi Deva Eva Loke Ramato Mahamuneha Yatha Gatir Deva Manushyayo Pratak Svayeva Dharme Na Param Shipet Stitaha. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam Mataji Prabhuji. Translation from Prabhupada ki jai. It is better to execute one's own occupational duty than to criticize others. Elevated transcendentalists may sometimes forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas, since they do not need to follow them, just as the demigods travel in space, whereas ordinary men travel on the surface of the earth. Thank you, Mataji. Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Yes, confirm.
The behavior of the most elevated transcendentalist and that of the most fallen conditioned soul appears to be the same. The elevated can the relation of the Vedas on the side of the
Hare Krishna. Mataji, your voice is not coming. It is going
Yeah, it's
blank.
breaking.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Okay, Mataji, my net is not good, I think. So you can ask others to read. No problem,
Meenakshi
Mataji.
Now it
Mataji.
is okay. Now it is okay. You can continue.
Continue, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Madam.
Where I left? Sorry. The elevated transcendentalist can surpass all the regulations of the Vedas, just as the demigods traveling in space surpass all the jungles. And although a common man who has no such ability to travel in space has to face all those impediments. Although the most dear Lord Shiva appears not to observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, he is not affected by such disobedience. But a common man who wants to imitate Lord Shiva, a common man must observe all the rules and regulations of the Vedas, which a person who is in the transcendental position does not need to observe. Daksha found fault with the Lord Shiva for not observing all strict rules and regulation of the Vedas, but Sati asserted that he had no rules. Said, for one who is powerful like sun or the fire, there is no consideration of purity or impurity. The sunshine can sterilize an impure place, whereas if someone else were to pass such a place, he would be affected. One should not try to imitate Lord Shiva. Rather, one should strictly follow one's prescribed occupational duties. One should never vilify a great personality like Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Bol. Yeah, Krishna. Yeah, so here she's continuing. She's telling that better to execute one's occupational duty than to criticize others. And then a comparison is also given, like how elevated transcendentalists may forego the rules and regulations of the Vedas. But that means they are so much absorbed in the performance of their bhakti sadhana that it appears that maybe they are not reading the Vedas, the scriptures, or they may not be, or they may not be reciting some scriptural things. But heart in heart, if suppose whatever activity they are doing, actually we should understand that they'll be completely dependent on Krishna. They'll be actually always thinking and remembering Krishna, and they're doing the acts. So for the externally, it may appear that they may not be rude, they may not be reading shastras, they may not be associating with the devotees, or they may not be doing bhajana, but bhajana kriya with the other devotees, like sankirtan, they may not be doing. But internally, although they are alone, or they may whatever action they are doing, we should understand that they are completely internally immersed. As against a common man who actually, even though he might be chanting the holy names, he might be associating with the devotees, he might be attending the temple, reading scriptures, but his mind may be elsewhere, or his intentions may be something not favorable. So this is the two opposites. So that's why these kind of devotees who are elevated transcendentalists are actually called, are to be in the Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is something which is spontaneous. Spontaneously they are attracted to the holy name. Spontaneously they are attracted to the worship of the Lord, glorifying the Lord. So like this. Whereas for us, it is forced. We are to be forced to do certain religious bhakti sadhana, bhakti acts. So that is the difference. So in bhakti, as we understand, Rupa Goswami has given us that there are two major varieties of bhakti. Bhakti can be classified into sadhana bhakti, and then the and then Raganuga bhakti. Actually, sadhana bhakti also has this Vaidhi sadhana. Now we are all doing the Vaidhi sadhana. Vaidhi sadhana is under the guidance as per the scriptures, as per the shastras, we are doing. Whereas Raganuga bhakti is something which is spontaneous. So this is the occasion. So, and this Raganugas actually the follow a Ragatmika. A Ragatmika is one devotee who's already established Krishna conscious practice, who are already probably serving Krishna, like Yashodamai or Nanda Maharaj, or friends of in Goloka Vrindavan of Krishna, like Sri Rama. So like this, already who are established in this practice and who are already serving the Lord, so that they keep as their as their leader or as their hero, and then they practice the Raganuga sadhana, Raganuga bhakti. So like this, we understand that she's actually trying to say that in case of Shiva, he was in that elevated platform, elevated transcendental platform, because 24/7 he was actually meditating on Krishna. He was always thinking, and he was involved, or he was enjoying the loss of the Lord. So serving the Lord in so many ways. But externally, you could not identify, because when Dakshamaraj came to the sacrifice, fire sacrifice, it was only Shiva who did not get up, and Brahmaji also did not get up. But Daksha considered Brahma as somebody very supreme, and then he just he accepted that if he doesn't also it is okay, it is not a disrespect. But Shiva, he considered as a disrespect, and also Shiva being his son-in-law, so he had that familial relationship also, and then so that's how he got he misunderstood, and he insulted Shiva and then criticized Shiva in such a bad way. So like that, she's telling that so for such great elevated souls, no need for them to do the Vaidish sadhana, because they're already in the Raganga platform and completely they are devoted to Krishna consciousness. So she's that way supporting Shiva, and then what my father did was something very wrong. So that's what Prabhupada is also telling, that the sunshine, like this is like the when a powerful body like a sun fire is there, so there is no consideration of purity or impurity. The sunshine can sterilize an impure place, whereas someone to pass such a place, a normal person going, he will be affected. He might feel the smell and he might be affected. But for the fire, it can sterilize. It can completely. It is not just because the sun. That place, the place which was with urine, sun will not get affected. Nothing will happen to the sun. In fact, everything will burn down. So this is the character of Shiva, that he was so much pure and he was so much transcendental. So Prabhupada is telling one should not try to imitate Shiva, rather one should follow your own prescribed occupational duty as per your varnashrama. You should follow your dharma. Basically, our dharma is to be the servant of the Supreme Lord, and also not vilify or criticize the supremacy of the such great personalities. Hare Krishna. So we'll go to the next shloka 20.
Meenakshi Mataji, you can read the shloka and the translation. Okay, just a minute. Meenakshi Mataji, the shloka, Sharmila Mataji translation, and Archana Mataji purport. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji. Karma pravrittam cha nivrittam upyuritam vede viviksho bhayalingam virodhi tadyoga padaika kartari dvayam tata brahmani karmanarchati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. In the Vedas, there are directions for two kinds of activities. Activities for those who are attached to material enjoyment and activities for those who are materially detached. In consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. If one wants to see two kinds of activities in one person, that is contradictory. But both kinds of activities may be neglected by a person who is transcendentally situated. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranam Prabhu. Purport by Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The Vedic activities are so designed that conditioned soul who has come to enjoy the material world may do so under the direction, so that at the end he becomes detached from such material enjoyment and is eligible to enter into the transcendental position. The four different social orders, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasa, gradually train a person to come to the platform of transcendental life. The activities and dress of a Grihastha or householder are different from those of a sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. It is impossible for one person to adopt both orders. A sannyasi cannot act like a householder, nor can a householder can act like a sannyasi. But above these two kinds of persons, one who engages in material activities and one who has renounced material activities, there is the person who is transcendental to both. Lord Shiva is in the transcendental position because, as stated before, he is always absorbed in the thought of Lord Vasudeva within himself. Therefore, neither the activities of the Grihastha nor those of the sannyasi in the renounced order can be applicable for him. He is in the Paramahamsa stage, the highest perfectional stage of life. The transcendental position of Lord Shiva is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 2.52-53. It is stated when one fully engages in the transcendental service of the Lord by performing activities without fruitive results, one is elevated to the transcendental position. At that time, he has no obligation to follow the Vedic injunctions or different rules and regulations of the Vedas. When one is above the directions of the Vedic ritualistic injunctions for attaining different allurements and is fully absorbed in transcendental thought, which means thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service, one is in the position called Buddhi Yoga or Samadhi, ecstasy. For a person who has attained this stage, neither the Vedic activities for realizing material enjoyment nor those for renunciation are applicable. Hare Krishna.
Very well. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So now in this shloka again, further, Satimata is continuing how the Vedas or the two activities are mentioned here. So that is actually the Karma Kanda. The one which is attached to the material enjoyment is the Karma Kanda. Vedas are also divided into two segments. I mean, the same Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, or the same Vedas can give us two understanding depending upon the follower, the one who is practitioner. So one is the Karma Kanda and another is the Upasana Kanda. So in the Karma Kanda, again, that practitioner might be more interested in achieving material enjoyment, some material opulences. He might be doing his worship or all his practices to get some material benefit. Whereas on the other hand, in the Upasana Kanda, it is actually completely detached to the material, and it is more of Upasana means that you are completely devoted. Your put your life and soul into that Supreme Lord. So your worship is purely on the spiritual platform, that you only want to gain a spiritual benefit rather than a material benefit. So that is the Upasana Kanda, where you glorification of the Lord, remembering of the Lord, serving the Lord is considered primary. So that way she is telling that that there are the two different kandas are there, and in consideration of these two kinds of activities, there are two kinds of people who have different symptoms. So if one want to see the two kind of activity the same person, it will be contradictory. You cannot have a person who is materially attached at the same time materially detached. It is not possible. It has to be either one boat, or you have to travel in one boat, or in one boat. If two boats are there, one material boat and one spiritual boat, you can't have one leg in material boat and one in the spiritual boat and then try to go forward. You cannot. You will definitely slip and you will fall down. Whereas if you're in the one single boat, if you're perched very properly in one single boat, obviously you can reach your destinations. That's what is being, and it's all very, very high philosophy that Sati is giving and trying to explain her father. So it's a good a lesson for us also. Indirectly, what is that essence of being a bhakta, of a top devotee, is being mentioned here. And then Prabhupada also very clearly tells that how the different the varnashrama also how it plays. So he says that Vedic activities are designed that condition soul to come and enjoy the material world, and at the same time he also has to get detached. One is that you have come here because you desired that you wanted material enjoyment. You have come here, but you have come to the wrong place. You're thinking that it is material enjoyment, and finally you find out that because it's a Maya Loka, it's a world of illusion. And then you find out that I came to the wrong place. I should not have come here. I should have better that I go back to my original position, and then try to now go back, and now try to be aloof from this material enjoyment, and then get into the transcendental position. So this is our real position. We wanted to enjoy the world and we came here, but now we are finding it that this is very gory, very horrible, and we want to go back. So that way, Prabhupada also mentions that a sannyasi cannot act like a householder, nor can a householder act like a sannyasi. But above these two persons is the one, that is what we have to attain, that's what we have to reach. Prabhupada mentions about this position at various places, and that's what he wants the devotees to be. One who engages material activity and one who has renounced material activity. There's a person who's transcendental to both. So Shiva was in that position because he was always thinking of Lord Vasudeva within himself. Therefore, neither the activities of Grahastha nor the sannyasi, the renounced order, can be applicable to him. He is in the Paramahamsa stage, the highest perfectional stage of life. This is what Prabhupada has been telling, that devotees should come to this Paramahamsa stage. And that is what Bhakti Yoga will take us. And this is what he wanted ISKCON and ISKCON devotees, that they should be in this Paramahamsa stage, because that's a very, very transcendental position. In either case, they will not get affected by these material allurements, enjoyments, nor they are in that stage of too much renouncement, because the renouncement also might become very dry, and it may actually give some trouble to the person. So you don't have to renounce so much, because everything belongs. If you are under the understanding Yukta Vairagya that everything belongs to Lord, there is nothing to renounce, but everything to use that material resources also to the service of the Lord, then that is what Rupa Goswami says, that is the highest platform, where you're completely absorbed in the worship of the Lord, and that stage is very favorable, because you're not even making a difference between the material and spiritual. You always stay in the spiritual, but whatever material things are available, you can always use it for Krishna's service. So it is stated here there that when one fully engages in transcendental service of the Lord by performing activities without fruitive results, one is elevated to the transcendental position. At that time, he don't have to follow the Vedic rules, regulations, because the same what we discussed in the last shloka, that he don't have to do the Vaidhi sadhana, because he's already in the Raganuga platform, and that's what Prabhupada calls that as the Buddhi Yoga, or using your intelligence in serving the Lord. And Prabhupada also mentions about this Bhagavad Gita shloka 2.52 and 53. So let us see what this shloka says. The 5.2 is actually saying that when your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. So here actually the same, it's mentioned about that Vedic rituals, and one need not have to follow Vedic rituals and these things, because if you are fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, so there's no need to follow the Vedic rules. And that's what he gives a reference to Madhvendra Puri, one of the greatest acharyas in our Bhakti Marga, the Madhurya Prema, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu later on gave the real direction. In fact, the Prema Bhava, Madhurya Bhava started with Madhvendra Puri, although he was initiated in the Madhva Sampradaya, which is more of a Dasya Bhava, but he came to that Madhurya Bhava platform, and then he glorified. So he's telling here, Sandhya Vandana, he's telling, I am not able to do Sandhya Vandana 3 times. I'm not able to do so many things, practices, I'm not able to offer my respects to so many demigods, so many this thing. But he's telling, please excuse me, I'm not able to do. But I'm always, worshipping Lord Krishna. I'm always thinking of Krishna. So by doing this, don't you think this is sufficient for me? So like that, he's mentioning. And then Prabhupada gives that shloka to refer, which is there in Bhagavad Gita also, where we don't have to be so much ritualistic. Rather, we should be love. The love propensity should increase. So in this 53rd shloka, it says, when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you have attained the divine consciousness. So that is the samadhi, the divine consciousness is also being highlighted, which is actually something to do with bhava bhakti or a prema bhakti, where your focus is mainly in pleasing the Lord all throughout your life. So that is the stage which is being mentioned here. Yeah, we'll go to shloka number 21.
Krishnamurti Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. You can read the shloka. Anita Mataji, the purport. Divya Mataji, you read the first paragraph. We'll see if more devotees raise hand. Otherwise, I can read. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I shall read the translation, right?
Yes, Mataji. Krishnamurti Prabhuji shloka, Anita Mataji translation, Divya Mataji first para, and Divya Desai Mataji second para. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranams Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare
Ma vaha padavyayah pitarasmadasmida ya yagnashalasu na dhuma vartmabihi tadanna truptairaso sudbhidiridita अव्यक्तलिंगा अवधूता सेविताः। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, प्रणाम
Hare
प्रभु जी।
Bol. Yes.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. My dear father, the opulence we possess is impossible for either you or your flatterers to imagine. For persons who engage in fruitive activities by performing great sacrifices are concerned with satisfying their bodily necessities by eating foodstuff offered as a sacrifice. We can exhibit our opulences simply by desiring to do so. This can be achieved only by great personalities who are renounced as self-realized souls. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Bol. Yes, Hare Bol.
Purport from Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sati's father was under the impression that he was exalted in both prestige and opulence, and that he had offered his daughter to a person who was not only poor but devoid of all culture. Her father might have been thinking that although she was a chaste woman, greatly adherent to her husband was in a deplorable condition. To counteract such thoughts, Sati said that the opulent position by her husband could not be understood by uh, Hare Krishna, opulence position. Okay, understood by materialistic person like Daksha and his followers, who were flatterers and were engaged in fruitive activities. Her husband's position was different. He possessed all opulences, but he did not like to exhibit them. Therefore, such opulences are called avyukta or unmanifested. But if required simply by willing, Lord Shiva can show his wonderful opulence, and such an event is predicted here. For it would soon occur. The opulence Lord Shiva possesses is enjoyable in um, renunciation and love of God, not in material exhibition of sense gratification methods. Such opulence are possessed by personalities like the Kumaras, Narada, and Lord Shiva, not by others. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Bol.
Divya Desai Mataji. Hari Bol. Aditi Roy Mataji.
Krishna Mataji. Pranam.
Please scroll down, Mataji. I can't see. Little bit down, Mataji. In this verse,
Is this better? Okay.
Okay, Mataji. In this verse, the performers of the Vedic rituals are condemned. They have been described here as Dhuma Vartma Bihi, those who maintain themselves on the remnants of sacrificial foodstuff. There are two kinds of foodstuffs offered in sacrifice. One kind of food is offered in fruitive ritualistic sacrifices, and the other, the best is food offered to Vishnu. Although in all cases Vishnu is the chief deity on the sacrificial altar, the performer of fruitive rituals aim to satisfy various demigods to achieve in return some material prosperity. Real sacrifice, however, is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, and the remnants of such sacrifices are beneficial for advancement in devotional service. The process of elevation by performing sacrifices other than those aimed at Vishnu is very slow, and therefore it has been condemned in this verse. Vishwanatha Chakravarti has described the ritualistic performers to be like crows, because crows delight in eating the remnants of food which has been thrown into the dustbin. All the brahmanas who were present for the sacrifice are also condemned by Sati. Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yeah, Aditi Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Bol. Yeah.
Whether or not King Daksha and his flatterers could understand the position of Lord Shiva, Sati wanted to impress upon her father that he should not think her husband to be without opulence. Sati, being the devoted wife of Lord Shiva, offers all kind of material opulences of the worshippers of Lord Shiva. This fact is explained in the Shrimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto. Lord Shiva's worshippers sometimes appear more opulent than the worshippers of Lord Vishnu, because Durga or Sati, being the superintendent in charge of material affairs, can offer all material opulences to the worshippers of Lord Shiva in order to glorify her husband. whereas the worshippers of Vishnu are meant for spiritual elevation, and therefore their material opulence is sometimes found to decrease. These points are very nicely discussed in the 10th canto. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So as we see, Sati is further mentioning what was the weakness or what was the problem with Daksha, was that he was looking at the external wealth, not the internal wealth. He was more looking at the material opulence as what one has. And so that she is actually chastising and trying to give gyan to her father, that what you need to look at is actually whether he's a person is self-realized, whether he's really a worshipper or a devotee of the Lord, whether he has come out of that Arishat Vargas, the Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, whether he's out of those clutches, and then whether he is really attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. If he's not that, and if he's not in the Upasana Kanda, then if he's in the only in the Karma Kanda, he's going to suffer. Life, time, and again, he's going to take birth, and he's going to suffer. That's what he's trying to say. And then Prabhupada also tells that what was Sati's father's or Daksha's, what was his mentality, was that he was looking at the opulence and prestige one can have, but not of the culture. So her father might have been thinking that although she was a chaste woman, greatly attended to her husband was in a deplorable condition. So this was his way of thinking. But then again, Prabhupada gives the real understanding that the opulence of Lord Shiva possesses is enjoyable in renunciation and love of God, not in material exhibition. So this is the quality that that he was so renounced, and he had complete attained the love of Godhead, and he was already immersed in the prema bhakti. So that is the real opulence which is required. And that similar to the Kumaras, Narada, so Shiva, all of them were actually great exalted devotees. So, and how the Vedic rituals, the performers of Vedic rituals are condemned because they actually do the Vedic sacrifices and all that, but their intention is to please the demigods. And without knowing that these demigods also offer the results to Lord Vishnu or Krishna. So they think that demigods are their order carriers. They will supply everything. They will give us vidya. They will give us buddhi. They will give us money. They'll think that, but and they do this sacrifice. But actually, all these things are granted by Krishna only, Vishnu. If Vishnu is not pleased, then they may not get it. They will not get it. Even if they get it, they might lose it. So this way, it's a very interesting relationship. So that's why intelligent person who understands this hierarchy will not go to the demigods. Instead of that, he actually goes to the Supreme Lord. And it is also Krishna himself has prohibited worship of demigods in Bhagavad Gita. In several shlokas, he has mentioned that worship of demigods is not required when you already want to attain me. When you attain me, you will attain a complete satisfaction, a complete salvation, not just in bits and parts. So that is what is mentioned here. And then finally, also mentions about Shiva's how his Shiva's devotees appears to be more opulent. We see that many of the demigod worshippers get so much of wealth and they're so much opulent because who is giving it? It is coming through the Sati or Durga or Parvati. Shiva and Parvati might grant all those things, but at the end of the day, it is all going to be as long as they can enjoy, as long as they are alive. But once they're dead, and this will actually they cannot carry it forward. Whereas a worshipper or a devotee of Krishna, because his intention is to get spiritually elevated, you want to go to the spiritual world, you want to attain a spiritual body. So that the spiritual wealth, whatever you accumulate by chanting, by doing all the practices, bhakti marga practices, will all remain and it will continue in the next birth also. So that is the difference between material wealth and spiritual wealth. So which is actually more beneficial. Even if you take a next birth, but whatever spiritual we have accumulated the wealth, it could be 20%, 50%, whatever it is, it will continue in your next birth. And you might get a birth in a very pious family, a devotee family, or in a rich family where you don't have to worry about earning money. You just have to spend your time for doing sadhana. So like this, we see that many devotees, they are born in some very rich families, and they immediately take to Krishna consciousness because of their past previous sukritis, and they have been selected by Krishna that you take birth in this such and such a family, then you can continue your spiritual practice. They don't have to struggle for material wealth and to maintain their lives, because everything the rich father, rich family is going to take care. So this way, Prabhupada concludes here, and we also can understand how much Sati is giving us the knowledge and comparing on the material wealth and the spiritual wealth. She's trying to educate her father, and this is also a big lesson for all of us. Hare Krishna. So this I will end today's session. If anyone has any clarifications or any self-realizations, they can raise it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It was a wonderful class. So devotees, anybody has any question? Divya Mataji, you have a question, or it was for reading only? Hare Krishna.
Mataji, it was for reading, Mataji. I forgot to word line.
Rohini Mataji has a question. Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Pranam, Pranam Prabhu. Prabhu, when we were doing the nectar of instruction, we were explained about the milk and curd analogy to understand the Lord
Yes.
Shiva's concept. Prabhu, so my correct, please, I'm just clarifying my understanding here. So Lord Shiva is not a Lord Shiva is not a Jiva Tattva, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Actually, he is something in between. Like, he's neither a Jiva Tattva nor he's got a very special position. Although he is in charge of the material world, when the three guna avataras are there, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, so he's in charge, and then he's also a part of he comes in this material world to take care of all those who are in the tamasic mode. So but he has a special position which nobody else has. Yeah, he is actually in the transcendental position.
So Prabhuji, it's not a position, right? Like how, like Indra and all these, it's a position. The person keeps changing. So
Like
Lord
we
Shiva,
say, Brahma is the first person on the material world, right? He's a Jiva Tattva, right? And and who is Shiva, Rudra? How did he come? He also appeared in the material world, right? From the forehead of Lord Brahma. So he's a part of the material world. You got it?
okay, so Lord Shiva is also a position?
Not a position actually. It's his own. Shiva is in its own capacity. But in this way. If you look at it this way, it is a Jiva Tattva. But on a platform where you have to look at him in terms of the transcendental position which the Lord gives and Lord has accorded him, is something very unique position. So Prabhupada also gives tells in many places that he enjoys a very unique position where he is not affected by this. Although he is in the material world, he is not affected by material qualities. Yeah. Whereas Brahmaji is a first is much affected by the material qualities, material gunas.
Okay. So Prabhuji, like with the change of the kalpas and all the yugas, Shiva doesn't change, right?
Yes, correct.
So in that context, one can say that he's eternal.
Exactly, you're right.
So one more question, Prabhuji, on that only. So Lord Shiva's consort, Parvati, she is Mahamaya. She is the internal potency of the Supreme Lord.
Yes.
So that means even she is eternal. Sorry, external.
Potency.
Yeah, external. Sorry. External potency. So that does that mean that she is also eternal because she is the external potency of Supreme Lord?
True.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, very good.
Shobha Mataji, please.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Tanvat Pranam. Prabhuji, Prabhuji, you said that Lord Shiva is in a very transcendental position, and he is so why he is not into the two categories which need to go through the Vedas or do the occupational duties. So Prabhuji, why then whenever anyone is doing that tapa, like most of the demons and all that, why is he obliged to come and give boons to them?
Yeah, that is a very very tricky way. But it is again, I'm not able to answer you in a right way. But my guess is that when it comes to Krishna's way of killing demons, or cheating demons, or he want to do some lila where he want to teach a lesson to the demonic people, asuric people. So this is where he is actually using the position of Shiva. Like for example, Bhasmasura was there, right? We know that Bhasmasura,
Yeah.
how he was killed. He came in the form of a nice damsel, and then he started dancing, and Bhasmasura also started. He followed her, and then he started imitating the way the damsel was dancing. And what was the boon or the shapa that he had was that if somebody places hand on his head, he will die.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Right? And Shiva in the form of that lady dancer. So he also kept his hand on his head, and Bhasmasura also put his hand on his head, and then he was killed. Right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that pastime is there where we understand. So that is how skillfully Krishna utilizing Shiva or Brahma in various pastimes. He's utilizing them, or he's making sure that these demonic people are bewildered, doing such very very wonderful unimaginable activities. He's actually bewildering them more, and then he's finding a way of killing them in a very very intelligent way. Of course, this is all Krishna's plan. This is I can say. So your question was that Shiva.
Like he is not into the
What was the
two
question?
categories in the material world where we have to follow the Vedas or follow our occupational duties and why.
Exactly. So that's why, as I answered in the previous question, and as Prabhupada also tells us that in one or two narrations, purports, he has mentioned that Shiva's position is very unique. He is actually in the transcendental, stage, transcendental mode. But then he's again he's a part of the material world. So something like this. It is a very unique position.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, where can we get these purports or something so that we can
I
get?
think you can probably, that's what I was searching for it. There is this shloka, I'll tell you. Vaishnavana Meta Shambho. In that shloka, I'll tell you. Vaishnava Yatha Shambho. This is the shloka, it's in Bhagavatam. It is 12.13.16. There is this shloka. Nimna Ganam Yatha Ganga Devanam Achyuta Yatha Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu Purananam Idam Tata. Okay. So this is here, it is mentioned about Shiva's unique position. I mean, that he is the greatest, Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. And that, okay, in this purport, it is not there. But I will search for it and then I will communicate.
Sure. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Padma Mataji, you can ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, wonderful class, and pranams to you.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, from my understanding, what I hear is that Lord Shiva is only in charge of the material world, but he doesn't stay in the material world. He stays in Kailash Parbat, which is between the spiritual world and the material world. Am I right, Prabhuji? And he's not affected by the three modes.
Actually, see, one is that Shiva, because he is in charge of the material world, he is in charge of the mode of ignorance. He actually stays in the material world in the Kailash Parvat. Okay, so this is one which is in our material world. But apart from that, there is Mahesh Loka, there is a Shiva Loka also in the spiritual world. Okay, so
yes.
Yeah, so there the devotees actually get converted. In fact, when somebody is a staunch believer and worshipper of Shiva, and he want to really serve Shiva in this capacity, he can actually go to the Maheshloka, and there Shiva actually guides him to be stay here or come to the spiritual world and go to Krishna Loka. So like this, because he's so much attached to devotee, he's so much concerned with that devotee, he will not say that you stay with me or you go to the middle world. He will actually direct him to the spiritual world. So this is the greatness, that where Shiva guides the devotee to Golaka Vrindavan. This way, he's a very great Vaishnava, and he's always in the interest of the Vaishnava. So that is his
Prabhuji,
nature.
then where is this Shiva Loka situated? The Shiva Loka in the spiritual world, where is it exactly?
That is in the spiritual world, Maheshloka, or in the spiritual world. Because even in the Shiva's worshippers, they're more into, they're actually people who are in the mode of ignorance, right? The Tamoga controller is the Shiva. So, but there are very strong devotees who probably don't take bhang, who probably don't smoke, who probably don't, they may follow they might do very pious activities. They may not follow what in the Shiva worship, there are very extreme ways of doing things, like they wear bhasma, they always with the bhuta preta. So this is actually, if you go to Jain and Suna hai na Ujjain, how the way they worship the Lord, they do abhishekam from the ashes of the dead bodies. But that is a very, very gory kind of a thing, and they offer all the non-veg, all the meat is offered. So this is one end of the spectrum. Another end is very pure way of worshipping Shiva as a devotee of Vishnu, as a devotee of Krishna, as a servant of Krishna. So that Shiva is the one who is in the Maheshloka and Shiva Loka, and he will guide the devotee to destination. He will not bring him back to the material world and he say that no, you do these practices, Aghora practices and all that.
Okay, with a strange.
Yeah. I know, that's what he. That's why
Thank you,
Prabhupada also mentions that he enjoys a very, very unique position. But at the end of the day, and that he's getting to such a wide variety of devotees, because people who are in the tamas, if he is going to uplift the people who are in tamas and then bringing back to the Krishna conscious Sattva-guna Vishuddha Sattva, just imagine how much of a trouble he is taking, how much he is concerned about the devotees. So that is why he is glorified. Prabhupada mentions that. That is why Shiva is glorified.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. And I think in Canto 10 also there are a lot of details.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Okay,
thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you to all devotees. Prabhuji, you will be able to show your altar for Damodar Ashtakam, Prabhuji?
Yeah, sure.
Who is singing the Damodar Ashtakam today? Devotees? Okay, I will sing then.
Mataji, shall I sing?
Yes, Mataji, please.
I have changed that. Yeah.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki
Hari
jai.
bol, Hari bol.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. You can see, right?
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Damodar.
Damodar Ashtakam ki jai.
Hare bol.
Yes, Prabhuji. Now it is clear.
Mataji, it's visible now, altar?
Yes, Prabhuji. It is visible properly.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. Can you hear me? Hare Krishna. Can devotees hear me?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you.
Yes, Mataji.
It is Prabhuji
we can hear you,
I guess.
Mataji.
Prabhuji can't hear me. Prabhuji, little on the... Oh. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji? Prabhuji, little on the right. Yes. Now, a little more on the right. Yes, Prabhuji. Now it's nicely visible.
I can't see anything, Mataji. Nothing is
DTs
there.
are not seen, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you'll have to still the camera so that we sing the Damodar Ashtakam. I don't think Prabhuji can hear me. Mataji, you can start singing.
Okay, Mataji. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Bhrajamanam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Bhrajamanam Yashodaviyolukaladhavamanam Paramrishta Atyanto Drutagopya Yashodaviyolukaladhavamanam Paramrishta Atyanto Drutagopya Rudantam Muhurnetram Yugvam Rijantam Karambhojayugmena Satankanetram Rudantam Muhurnetram Yugvam Rijantam Karambhojayugmena Satankanetram Muhushwasakampa Sthitidreva Damodaram Bhaktipatham Muhushwasakampa Sthitideva Damodaram Bhaktipatham Iti Driksvalilabhir Anandakunde Swaghosham Nimajjantam Makyapayantam Iti Driksvalilabhir Anandakunde Swaghosham Nimajjantam Makyapayantam Tadiyeshi Tagneshu Bhaktirjitatvam Puna Prema Satsam Chata Vriti Vande Tadiyeshitnagneshu bhaktirjitatvam Puna prema tatsam shatavriti vande Varam deva moksham na moksham vidhiva Na chanyavineham videshadapiha Varam deva moksham na moksham vadhimva Chanya na chanyam vrineham videshadapiha Idam deva purnath gopal balam Sada me manasya avirastam kimanye Idam deva purnath gopal balam Sada me manasya avirastam kimanye Idam te mukham bhojam atyant nile Vitam kuntale snigdha raktescha gopya Idam te mukham bhojam atyant nile Pritam kuntale snigdha raktescha gopya Muhoshumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya virastam alam lakshalabhe Muhoshumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya virastam alam lakshalabhe Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasidha Prabhu Dukha Jalabhimagnam Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasidha Prabhu Dukha Jalabhimagnam Kripa Drishti Vishyanti Dinam Batano Grihani Shamamagya Idhakshi Drishya Kripa Drishti Vrishanti Dinam Batano Grihani Shamamakya Idhakshi Drisha Kuberatmaja Buddha Mutetya Vacha Vayamochito Bhakti Bhajo Krita Cha Kuberatmaja Buddha Mutetya Vacha Vayamochito Bhakti Bhajo Krita Cha तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वकामे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह तथा प्रेम भक्ति स्वकाम प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे गृहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह Namaste Damne Swadharipti Dhamne Tvadiyodarayat Vishwasya Dhamne Namaste Damne Swadharipti Dhamne Tvadiyodarayat Vishwasya Dhamne Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nantalilaye Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Nantalilaye Devaya Tubhyam Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatkundalam Gokule Bhajamanam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Very wonderful, Mataji. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji, for sharing the screen.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna to all devotees. Vancha
Hare
kalpatarubhyascha
Krishna.
kripa sindhubhyo eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Namandar Ashtakam ki jai, Shrimad Bhagavatam
Srimad
ki jai.
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna to all devotees. Prabhuji, I will end the session. I think Prabhuji has left. I'll end the session, devotees. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, can we end the session?